Hey guys, in this video I will show you how I take a plain white shirt and made it into a character themed baseball jersey style shirt. I don't go into detail about how I do the back of this shirt, but if you'd like a tutorial on how I added this gold glitter crown, please leave a comment and I'll make another video on that. So let's jump into the materials. What you will need is acrylic paint, a shirt, something to mix, hold, and store the paint in. You can definitely do all three of those things in the same container, but it's helpful if you have at least two, like one to mix it and one to store it. You'll need a textile medium, and that's what takes your paint and makes it a fabric paint. You'll need paint brushes, preferably in different sizes, and you also need lots of time and lots of patience. Let's jump right into it. So the first thing I did was use my ruler to make lines down the front of the shirt. I wanted to make it like a baseball jersey style. I mapped out where I was going to put the pocket, even though I ended up not making that a pocket. I was deciding on what characters to use, so that's what I was writing on the blue papers, was the character names and trying to find the layout. This is the textile medium that you'll use. That is used to keep your paint from being so stiff on the shirt. It loosens it up so it's more flexible, so it doesn't crack when you wash it. From there, I made the pink batch and outlined around the collar. You're going to do 2 parts of acrylic paint to 1 part textile medium. I ended up making way too much pink, but pink was definitely used a lot in this shirt, so it was okay. The first time I did it, I think I was using tablespoons, so I had 3 tablespoons total, and I ended up using 1/8 of a tablespoon, so I did 2 scoops of 1/8. Is this making sense? 2 scoops of 1/8 of a tablespoon of paint, and then 1/8 of a tablespoon of the textile medium. That might be a teaspoon. Whatever comes on your standard like measurement cup. So I drew them out and then just started painting. When you're painting, it's best to go with the grain of the shirt. It fills it in better. It glides on smoother. Yeah, of course, in some areas you're gonna have to go against the grain, but for the most part, try to go with the grain of the shirt, just to get that paint smoothed and good. So you just keep painting. It's pretty tedious. It's going to take a while, depending on the number of characters you're doing, of course. And try to work in a kid-free zone. That was definitely my non-method that knocked over my stand. But I tried using this black marker to outline just so I could see better. I would not suggest using, this is just a regular washable marker. I wouldn't suggest using that because I'm not really sure how it's gonna handle once the shirt is washed. I'm pretty sure the color is gonna run, so I'm gonna have to find some type of sealer to try to keep that from happening. So I would not suggest you doing that, but I'll definitely let you know what the outcome of that is after it's been washed, of course. Again, you're gonna get creative with your colors, mix the colors together. For a lot of things, I kind of just made up my own colors. I know that Poppy has her. Please excuse my kids in the background. We are on snow day number 6, and I was really eager to get this video up, so there's no such thing as quiet time right now. But yeah, so a lot of the colors, I made a big batch of white just so I could dilute some of the colors that I already had. So this pink that I just made was the same color that I used for the stripe around the shirt and Poppy's hair, and just added some white to it. I ended up doing that a lot with white, black, and brown, and gray, using those colors to kind of manipulate the colors that I had already made. I don't know if you saw at the beginning of the video, I had one of those little like tube containers. I don't know what they're called, the little paint containers. That helped a lot. Kept me from having to make batches of a bunch of stuff, and then when I needed to go back and like paint over areas that I had missed, I didn't have to try to match the color because I already had some made up. I had started to outline Poppy using my thin paintbrush and the black, but I didn't really like how it came out, so I used a Sharpie instead. I've had pretty good success with using Sharpies on shirts in the past. They do fade, but I believe just for an outline that it would be okay. I've never used Sharpie on top of the paint though, so this is a first. And again, once it gets washed, I'll let you know how that comes out. So I use the Sharpie mostly for, outlining and adding those little details to the face. And that is my Poppy and Branch. So next we went on to Peppa Pig. She was pretty simple. Of course, there's not much to her. Didn't take too long. So one part that I did leave out of the video was how I transferred the images to the shirt. I used black transfer paper and laid it under the image that I printed off, and you make sure that it's facing the right direction. And when you trace the image that you've printed, it leaves it on the shirt, but the lines are really faint, so I went over those lines with a pencil just to get a good outline, so I had a base for painting. Peppa Pig does not have that hard black outline, so what I did was diluted that pink that I used for her, and I think I added like some red and some black to it. I didn't make a big batch of that. I just kind of made it off to the side to outline her. And there's Peppa. And now we are on to Doc McStuffins. I had quite a time trying to figure out the skin tone. With this paint, it goes on darker and dries lighter. I think I said that right. It was darker when it was wet, and you have to take that into consideration when you are mixing your colors, because it looks one way like in your paint, and then when you put it on the shirt it kind of looks like you may have made a mistake. Don't lighten it. It's gonna dry lighter than it appears. So I used that Sharpie again with Doc McStuffins because she has the black outlines. And then we moved on to the Minions. Same process. Draw it out, paint it, make sure you stay with the grain. It's really hard to forget that. Well, it's really easy, to forget that when you're painting, especially in smaller areas. Still try to go with the grain because it fills out that paint better. When you go against the grain, that's when you get kind of splotches. And if the shirt stretches, there'll be white spots where the paint didn't get. So just try to remember to go with the grain. Once again, using that Sharpie to outline the minions and kind of touch up their hair and little glasses and things like that. An outline on a picture makes such a difference. It makes it pop. So next, Moana. Moana had a lot of little details that I ended up not doing. Just because it would be really tedious, and I believe she turned out great. With a lot of these things, don't beat yourself up about not getting it right or not getting it perfect. Especially with kids' characters, as long as it's recognizable, that's all that matters. I'm sure I could have made her whole outfit pink and she'd still be Moana. So I got as close as I could without giving myself a headache trying to get her outfit and skin tone and everything together. Along with working in a kid-free zone, I would also suggest not having your paint so close to the shirt. It's very easy to make mistakes. Try to work in a clean environment. Try to, like I said, keep the paint as far away from whatever you're working on. There are a couple places where I have little pink spots because my pinky may have touched some wet paint and then it transferred onto the shirt, or I may have wiped the brush off with a paper towel and then sat it on the table and it ended up making its way to the shirt. So try to be careful and very mindful of where you're putting your supplies. I had a very small workspace, so that's why you see my paint on top of the shirt. But again, I would really advise on not doing that. Maybe try to keep your paint in your lap, or if you have like a little small table off to the side that you could use, that would be ideal. But of course, I didn't do it and we made it work. So do what works for you. But I would suggest you keeping your paint far away, especially if you have children. Once again, I'm gonna stress, make sure you paint with the grain of the shirt. Like I said, there are some areas where you're gonna have to go against the grain, but after you've completed that area, try to go back over it, just like with a second coat, to go with the grain. That's gonna make all the difference when the shirt is being worn, because it's gonna stretch a little bit, and when you go with the grain, that keeps those white spots from shedding. So I had to cut this part. My baby knocked over my camera stand and it just kept slipping and slipping and slipping. So this is Moana. Her hair was lots of fun. So that's really the final product. I love how it turned out. I think it looks amazing. Thank you all for watching, and if you decide to try this yourself, let me know how it turns out. See you soon.